Well, I would say Benavidez, but he's too, that weight class is too high for him. So, where he's at now is great.
But yeah, Crawford will fight you if he beats Canelo.
Nah, I wouldn't fight Crawford. I'm at 175.
And Terence Crawford.
No.
That fight. Maybe planning on vacating the belts.
No, we ain't gonna vacate the belts.
Coach Brian "Bomac" McIntyre stirred controversy after the fight when asked about Turki Alalshikh's proposal for a Terence Crawford versus David Benavidez matchup. McIntyre flatly rejected the idea, stating that Crawford doesn't need a fight of that nature at this point in his career.
It's gonna sit where we need to sit for a minute, and then, just like I said, get back in the gym and do our thing.
Honest. Absolutely.
And he don't want to.
Performance prove about the end of sparring. You guys were largely
I
silent.
told you it don't make no difference. Didn't I say it? I said, that don't mean shit. I don't give a damn about that.
Yeah.
I said that, didn't I?
Yeah.
That was one of those interviews. I said that. Don't mean shit, because he's no Bud Crawford. I'm not taking nothing from Ennis, Bozy, them over there, them my guys. Shit, but bringing in that, which is good for Canelo, but it didn't do no good to end the fight.
The entire Benavidez buzz began with a tweet from a key Saudi boxing figure, posted just hours after Terence Crawford's historic victory. The message congratulated Crawford on becoming the first fighter to be undisputed in 3 different weight divisions and thanked Canelo Alvarez for delivering a fantastic show. Then, almost like a chess move, the tweet posed a question that sent social media into a frenzy. Can David Benavidez still make 168 pounds? Soon after, reports surfaced suggesting a potential Crawford-Benavidez matchup. Trainer Greg Hackett quickly weighed in, saying the rumors were premature and motivated more by money and hype than fairness. He stressed that Crawford doesn't need Benavidez to validate his career and warned that Benavidez could damage his body trying to drop back to 168 after fighting at 175.
Try to test his limits, and they think the money is going to keep getting him out there. That fight is pointless. The fight is pointless because nobody ever talked about that fight until now. And then I don't feel like Bud needs a Benavidez. And then that would mean Benavidez would have to go into a different body and bring himself back down to 68 when he's already getting settled in at 174.
Hackett went on to clarify that the supposed back and forth between Crawford and Benavidez was largely fabricated. In his view, Turki Alalshikh was simply using the speculation to showcase his promotional skills. However, Hackett added that genuine matchups, when they're not just for show, can still be intriguing.
Benavidez had some tough tasks in front of him that he want to conquer before he even talking like that. I don't even think he want to talk like that because there's really no point. He wanted the Canelo fight because Canelo was the man at 68. He was at 68. I don't think he cared about fighting Bud, and I don't think Bud cared about fighting Benavidez. That's just Turkey trying to pull rank. Turkey trying to show he got a golden arm.
One of the biggest questions surrounding the potential matchup was whether Crawford could successfully move up in weight. Many fans and analysts referred to him as a 4-division world champion, but that claim isn't entirely accurate. Showbiz the Adult, a boxing commentator and YouTube analyst, has repeatedly questioned whether Crawford's resume truly warrants all the praise it receives. Critics have long argued that Crawford hasn't consistently faced enough elite opposition to prove himself at the very highest level.
Is top 4 greatest fighters of all time. Do you understand how improbable this is? I thought Bud had no chance. I lost 20 grand. Not only is Terence Crawford on my Mount Rushmore, like I said, if he were to win, because the probability of him winning against all the odds, I couldn't see it. I couldn't see how at all.
The story also highlighted the darker side of this historic fight, showing how one of the sport's most celebrated champions struggled with the weight gain and the toll it took. Yet Crawford's performance was so commanding that even his staunchest critics began to rethink his legacy. In the hours following the bout, Showbiz captured the transformation on video, ensuring the moment would be preserved and remembered by fans everywhere.
He put together. That guy, he can face anybody in history and be a problem. Him right there. Not only that, I think this cements the fact that everybody avoided him. This right here answers everything. Not only is Terence Bud Crawford on my Mount Rushmore, but everybody avoided him. And that sheds more light on how he beat Errol Spence.
Crawford aimed to become the first male boxer to hold all 4 major belts in 3 separate weight classes, moving up to 168 pounds to claim them. While he was not technically a 4-division undisputed champion, His achievements were still extraordinary and set him apart in boxing history. Many were stunned when, at the press conference following his majority decision loss to Terence Crawford, Canelo Alvarez took a bold approach. Rather than deflecting questions, he openly praised Crawford and admitted that Bud was the better man that night.
Compare and contrast the fight between yourself and Floyd Mayweather Jr. and tonight's bout with Terence Bud Crawford, if you can.
No, I think Crawford is way better than Floyd Mayweather.
Veteran boxing reporter Dan Rafael shared his perspective on the Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez fight. As a journalist who has covered the sport for decades, Rafael said what stood out most was Crawford's ability to seize control in the later rounds. According to him, Canelo appeared to take the early rounds, but Crawford's composure and adjustments allowed him to swing the momentum as the fight progressed.
Great job. I thought it was close. I had Canelo ahead in the early going, but I thought Crawford did an amazing job closing that fight down in the last few rounds, where he really started to back the supposed bigger guy up, although for me, they looked about the same size. But that was a brilliant performance.
Rafael's remarks further reinforced Crawford's legacy by emphasizing the historic significance of his victory. He noted that although Crawford initially hesitated about taking the fight, it was a matchup he had long envisioned and worked tirelessly to secure. Rafael explained that Terence Crawford had rarely been given the chance to face opponents naturally bigger than himself, largely because many doubted such a fight could ever be made.
History. He dreamt this fight. He willed it to happen. A lot of people, not me, but a lot of people laughed at him, said, forget about it, no chance against a bigger guy like that. Canelo, because everybody who has ever read me, followed me, listened to me knows I love Canelo. I think he's one of the greats of all time. I think you can make a really good argument that he's the greatest Mexican of all time, even more than Chavez. That said, he is in decline. He's been in decline for the last few years. He hasn't been what we've seen him at his best since he beat Caleb Plant, that Caleb Plant, Billy Joe Sanders time frame. And, even though he's winning fights, the knockouts haven't happened. He's gotten tired in the later part of the fights, and it's just common. It's the oldest saying in boxing: "Father Time is on the."
Well-known boxing reporter and ringside commentator Sean Ziddle discussed Terence Crawford's rising fame following his victory over Canelo Alvarez. Ziddle explained that he has long recognized Crawford's talent, even naming him the best pound-for-pound fighter back in 2017. However, he admitted that until now he had never placed Crawford in the same league as boxing's all-time greats.
Crawford, #1 pound for pound back in 2017. I always acknowledged him as the best counterpuncher in the game, one of the great counterpunchers. But I didn't see him as Sugar Ray Leonard, Floyd Mayweather, Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Robinson. I didn't see him as that. I saw him as the tier of greats right below that. Oscar, Shane, Mike McCallum, guys like that. And it turns out, no, he's with the best of the best.
Ziddle then criticized aspects of Crawford's technical performance against Canelo. He remarked that Crawford absorbed Canelo's power with unexpected ease, showing a level of punch resistance rarely seen in this division. Ziddle added that Canelo lost his rhythm as the fight progressed, while Crawford took control in the third and fourth rounds behind a sharp jab, steadily asserting dominance and mastering the bout from there.
Effect on Crawford, I know Crawford felt it, but he had good punch resistance. He came up in weight beautifully, and then as time went on, his jab and his length, it's around that third and fourth round, really started to give Canelo fits. And then, #1, his bread and butter, his gift. Yes, he's got great tactics, great distance control, efficient footwork. He doesn't, and he took the air out of the ball when he wanted to in this fight.
Before the fight even began, it was clear that Canelo Alvarez would try to use his size, experience, and strength to his advantage. Many were intrigued by the fact that Canelo had been a champion at this weight before and knew how to handle pressure, especially at super middleweight. After his loss to Terence Crawford, Canelo addressed his fans on Instagram without complaints or excuses. Instead, he reflected on his journey, expressing gratitude for his team's sacrifices, pride in their accomplishments, and deep appreciation for his family and friends who never stopped supporting him. In an emotional post, he thanked his wife, Fernanda, for her patience and unwavering support, writing that while losing is never easy, he is proud of what he's achieved and ready to learn from the setback. Meanwhile, the victorious Terence Crawford showed a rare flash of anger during a post-fight press conference. Frustrated with a fan and a reporter who had criticized him publicly in the past, Crawford pushed back, signaling that this fight was about more than just the ring. It was also about challenging the narrative the media had built around him over the years.
A 3-time undisputed champion, the first ever in the 2, 3, or 4 belt era, and you became the second undisputed champion in 3 weight classes when there was only one champion back in 1938 with Henry Armstrong. That's a lot of stuff.
Hear that? You hear that?
Boxing experts and reporters had long claimed that Crawford was boring, couldn't draw a crowd, and only fought unknown opponents. At the press conference, Crawford fired back at those criticisms, declaring that he's now on the biggest stage in boxing and has proven all his doubters wrong.
And all of it. It all goes hand in hand.
Can you describe what it all means to you to have, you just made like a whole resume of stuff tonight.
It means a lot to me because, you know, anybody can be a nobody. Like I said, you know, and that's all they say I've been fighting is nobodies. So what can they say now?
That's all for today's video. Stay tuned for more updates next time.